WIBTA if I told my mom that her dogs are the only ones not allowed on family vacation? My mom has two half Yorkie half Maltese dogs. These dogs are my mom's world. The problem is they are obsessed with food. They will go to any lengths to get human food. It started with a bag of barbecue potatoes chips on my kitchen counter ripped open and devoured, leaving a huge barbecue dust mess. Next was an entire pizza that was snatched off of the table the moment I went to grab sodas from the kitchen. In the span of less than a minute when I returned, half of the pizza was gone, the dogs were standing in the other half of the pizza, and there was pizza sauce all over my carpet. Next get together they found their way inside even though I asked my mom to keep them in the backyard. They got into my kitchen and tore open 2 bags of hamburger buns, and ate around $40 worth of seasoned raw hamburger meat and a block of cheddar cheese. At this point I told my mother her dogs were not allowed at my home. She has stopped coming by altogether, which does hurt my feelings because if it's a choice between her kid and the dogs she will always pick the dogs. I'm planning a family vacation, booked a nice cabin for the whole family to stay in. My sister is bringing her dog, well-behaved female pit, so I know it's going to be an issue when I tell my mom her dogs are not allowed to come with us. I don't want to spend the whole weekend making sure not a single scrap of food is left out for even a second, otherwise her dogs would tear it apart and potentially make a huge mess in the cabin I paid the deposit on. My sister told me to just tell my mom that she has to keep a close eye on her dogs, but I have tried that before and she's proven time and time again that she's either unable or unwilling to control her dog's behavior. WIBTA if I tell my mom her food-crazed dogs are not allowed on family vacation even though another dog will be there? Edit. My mother's reactions to the dog's behaviors? It's the same excuse every time. They are hungry. They can tell we're eating. And she doesn't really clean up after them, but that might be my fault. She kinda stares at the mess and is like, oops, there's a mess, so I end up springing into action so nothing stains or gets more spread around than it already is. My mother's dogs finding ways to the hamburgers. Where there is a will there is a way, and these dogs will find a way. With the hamburger situation I'm pretty sure they pulled out a drawer to use as a halfway point to just up on my counter. They are smart as hell and like tiny acrobats, but all they care about is finding food. Are the dogs house trained? They are house trained and very friendly with people and other animals. The only thing I can say against them is that they are food goblins 100% of the time. Update. Packing up at the end of the vacation, a few of you asked me to update on what happened. I don't know how to copy links, so I guess click on my profile to read the old post. How Reddit works, y'all are smart enough to figure it out. Took the coward's way out and asked my dad to break it to her that her dogs weren't invited. He wasn't happy about it, but he said he gets it. Then he told me some mildly disturbing stuff that he was just laughing off. Like they had bought a locked bread box for pastries on the counter that had been chewed to pieces in order to get to the cinnamon rolls inside, and showed me a picture of the bottom of their fridge that had been extensively chewed, like the dogs were desperately biting and clawing to get inside. He stated he loves the dogs too, but could understand why someone wouldn't want them around during vacation. Dad reported mom took it well and the dogs would stay over at their neighbors who they are good friends with. I was relieved. Everyone showed up and started unpacking except my mom, who my dad said was tying things up at the house and she would be by later. Mom didn't show up that night and I missed her. The next day mom did show up but, as many commenters suspected, brought her dogs with her. Tried to play it off as nothing, giving out hugs and smiles, but I was upset. I also tried to play it cool, but I told her that her dogs were not to enter the cabin and that they could not stay the night. She waved me off. Yeah, okay, I get it. It was fine for a few hours, but then I noticed some dirty napkins were floating around in the breeze. I discovered that the garbage bag we had tied to the picnic table had the bottom ripped out and paper plates had been shredded and licked clean. I cleaned up the mess furious and confronted my mother and told her this is exactly why her dogs weren't invited. My mom tried to blame my sister's dog for the mess. You didn't see what happened, it could have been her. I told her that there was no way I would blame Lola for the mess since her dogs are known for doing this kind of thing. My mom clammed up and said, fine, I will just take them home, and left with the dogs. My dad wasn't happy after that, saying I didn't have any proof and I went too hard on her. My uncle thought it was funny and he was glad to not have the little bastards trying to steal his hot dog. It put a damper on the whole trip. I just feel like an idiot for trying to make this work in the first place. I miss my mom and I wanted to make family memories, but it really does feel like the dogs and my mom are a package deal now, and asking her to leave them even for a short time was never an option. A lot of people said this in the comments. I don't think I was ready to hear it yet. Thanks for being so responsive, and the comments really did help me see the reality of the situation I'm in now. Edit. Clarification on planning the vacation at the time of the original post. Vaca was planned and ready to go, only thing I hadn't handled was my mom and her dogs. I thought waiting to talk to her would stop her from being able to get into my dad's head and try to change my mind. But now I'm starting to think no matter when I told her the dogs were going to show up anyway. So when I made the post, if I'm being honest, it was the first night of vacation. Mom didn't show up and I started to feel really guilty that I had excluded her somehow from the family. I really thought she was gonna show up that night at some point, but she never did. I was sorta using the comments to feel better that I had taken a sorta stand against her, even if it was through my dad. I wanted to see if people would say I was an a-hole because it was obvious to me my dad and sister were upset that she wasn't there and that was my fault. Update 2. Just gonna jump right in and try to keep it short. I talked with my sis about the chance of my mom's dogs getting sick or dying from eating out of the trash. My mom has always gotten along better with my sister, so I asked her if there was any point in trying to talk to her about getting her dogs trained. She set up a dinner at Wingstop for the 3 of us. I directly asked my mom at dinner if she fed her dogs dog food or only people food. She got offended and said yes, of course I feed them 2 cups of food for lunch and dinner. I told her that 4 cups of food was already a lot of food for 2 small dogs on top of getting table scraps. My mom said she didn't want to discuss her dogs any further, but my sister jumped in and said that the dogs were why she invited her. She said that she had done some research on dog trainers and found an affordable program. She offered to pay for it in full, all my mom would have to is take them. My mom said that was very generous of her but didn't accept or deny it. My mom started looking nervous and said that she had forgotten to do something and needed to take off early. I thought, well, we tried, let her leave. My sister followed her outside and I settled the bill. When I left I saw my mom and sister were still there and her dogs were doing small laps around my mom's legs. I was extremely confused. I just kinda stood there dumbfounded like, how the hell did they get here? My sister was yelling at my mom, I would never do something like this to Lola, this is completely unacceptable. My mom yelled back, it's less than 60 degrees out and it's nighttime, they were fine. My sister fired back, so if we hadn't made you mad, how long would you have just left them out here while we were eating? My mom ignored her, grabbed her dogs in a huff and left. My sister was fuming, saying she was lucky nobody saw her dogs in the car, otherwise my mom would be dealing with the police. I wish I could say I was surprised that my mom's had left her dogs in the car, but I wasn't. I've texted her a couple times since then, but she's not responding to anything my sister or I send her. I won't be updating again, everyone is mad at each other and I don't see anything positive coming out of this situation. I'm gonna take the advice of some of the commenters and just let her go. I tried my best to include and help her and it only made everything more awful.
Relevant comments. Commenter, your mom seems to have lost all reason when it comes to the dogs and she is not caring for them properly. Is this standard behavior for your mom or something new and exciting to deal with?
OP, she's always been soft-spoken but extremely stubborn. Like you can tell her something and she will say oh yeah okay sure, but she's just gonna do whatever she was gonna do in the first place. We had cats as kids, so the dogs are a new addition to the situation.
Commenter 2, I'm going to ask this, but please understand that the sleepy edible just kicked in, so the phrasing might not come across the best. It's coming from a good place, though. Growing up, did you guys get what you needed emotionally, physically, all that stuff that you needed from her? Her being this weird about the dogs is giving some do-over energy, and I want to make sure that if that's the case, you're supported in whatever she's feeling this guilty about.
OP, I'm not sure if that's the case or not, to be honest with you. When we were kids my parents were super into poker and they both worked full-time, so I didn't see them very much. I started to learn how to make casseroles and hamburger helper for dinner because oftentimes it would just be me and my sister. When I was 6 I noticed my mom stopped doing my laundry, so I started doing it for myself. Teachers would ask me why I didn't have a lunch packed. Truth was my mom and dad didn't do or make me do it, so I just didn't do it. I don't think she feels bad about it though. I brought this stuff up to her before and she said it sounds like a pretty normal childhood.